What's going on, Paisanos? V here, coming at you, well, with another market watch today. Now, let's talk about a banned card. Chicken Game from Clash of Rebellions. Didn't get any reprints, has only one printing. The card currently says the player with the lowest life points takes no damage. Sounds familiar? Once returned during the main phase, the player can pay 1,000 life points, activate one of these effects, draw a card, destroy a card. Your opponent gains 1,000 life points. Neither player can activate cards or effects and respond to this card's effect activation. This looks like it appears to be a weaker version of Mystic Mine. Yet, we just saw recently at this previous YCS this past weekend, 3 out of the 4 decks use Mystic Mine in the main. Mystic Mine doesn't have any archetype it belongs to. Mystic Mine is its own thing. But yet somehow players use it. Why? Simple. When playing against certain matchups, Mystic Mine pretty much wins you the game. In fact, we saw, I believe, round 1, in the last round 1 and final game, the player played Mystic Mine thinking that his opponent didn't have an out. He literally went draw go, because that's how easy this card is to play. And at times, this card can get you a win. Now, I'm not going to sit here and debate whether Mystic Mine should be banned or not banned. It should be banned. I mean, Chicken Game is banned, and it's a weaker version of Mystic Mine. So yeah, this should be banned. It's almost the argument of saying, well, listen, Pot of Eyes will be banned, but we'll allow Pot of Greed at 2 or 3 or whatever. Listen, there's no argument for that. That makes zero sense. Pot of Eyes is just a weaker version of Pot of Greed, yet it's semi-limited. In the case of Chicken Game, it's a weaker version of Mystic Mine, but Mystic Mine's at 3. This makes zero sense. And Yu-Gi-Oh players saw the opportunity and took advantage. I do not blame any Yu-Gi-Oh player for playing this card. You're playing what's given to you in the game. In fact, if you go to your locals today, tomorrow, this weekend, whatever, you're playing given the circumstances of the game that Konami has crafted for all of us players via the ban list. So I don't have any problem with players playing this card at all. Zero. My problem is Konami not doing the bans correctly or taking it seriously enough. If you go back and watch any of my live streams, when I did the bans live on live streams, my #1 complaint was Mystic Mine. It was really annoying. In fact, I believe not this live ban, but the one previous before that one, I was really upset. Not because I wanted Max C to come off the bans, which I did. It's because of Mystic Mine. Once again, it's a very, very broken card that's allowed to be played in our game. It has a huge problem, so much so, 3 out of 4 decks that top this YCS, well, they mained it. Once again, 3 out of 4 decks that Mystic Mine had zero synergy with, they made it in hopes of top decking it, throw on the board, look at their opponent and say, if you don't have the answer, let's go to the next game. Because the card offered them a free win. Because that's what it does. Unfortunately, this card's going nowhere anytime soon. It's going to be here for a while. We just recently had a ban list, and this card more than likely will make its way up until Nationals. That's a problem. It's a big problem. If you think Konami's going to drop an emergency ban list for a card like Mystic Mine, you're sadly mistaken. We have barely had any emergency bans. I believe we had at most 2. And yes, those cards at the time, I believe, are stronger than Mystic Mine now, but Mystic Mine is still a problem nonetheless, and a problem a lot of decks are going to have to deal with. Now, here's the question. Will Mystic Mine go away? Will it rotate away as Yu-Gi-Oh players slowly put different decks into the meta? Or will Mystic Mine be here to stay? Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this card. Does it belong to stay here? Will it rotate out as Yu-Gi-Oh players get wise into Mystic Mine, start maining cards like Harpy's Feather Duster? Or will it be here up until Nationals, a thorn in everyone's side? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd greatly appreciate that. Now, looking at Dimensional Barrier, we're in the beginning of the week. So obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh players are coming off from their locals, regionals, and of course the YCS. And what we're seeing here is a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players go into the market and start buying cards. Theron King Regulus is still roughly around $80, and Abolenitus is still roughly around $20. Albeit these cards are really good, they're going to be going down in value. This is not like crazy news. This is factual news. Benjamin Pendulum was roughly around $14 Friday. It's currently around $16. The value of this card is also going to be going down. Looking at Theron Lily Borea, the card was $30 in the market price. It's currently $25. These cards are going to be cooling down. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is probably the most ideal time to buy the cards. I would argue Wednesday, Thursday, the most ideal because nobody's really focused on the market, and that's the best time to strike. So if you are coming from a Yu-Gi-Oh event, wait. Be patient. Wednesday and Thursdays are your days to get cards. Don't do it on a Friday when everyone's getting paid and buying up cards in the market. Don't do it on Monday, Tuesday, because everyone's coming fresh off these events and they want to buy these cards. Be vigilant. let's talk about deck cores, because I believe deck cores are the most fundamental part of this entire game. If you own the original deck cores, meaning hand traps, infinite permanents, all that jazz, then the next part is obviously huge deck cores like these, archetypal deck cores, cards like Virtual Worlds. You're going to want to go ahead and grab these. They're relatively cheap, yet they just recently won a Nationals. Yes, we're still having Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals, technically speaking. They're called Territorials, and that's our own version of Worlds. It's kind of like baseball, where, like, if you win Nationals in America, we're like the world champions, but realistically, like, other places have their own versions, and they're the world champions. That's kind of what we have here. It's called Territorials. I mean, I'm okay with that. It's whatever. Listen, looking over here at Phantom Rage, cards like Virtual World Kyubi Shenshen. It's a great card. Currently a couple of bucks in the market, not that expensive. Virtual World is a relatively inexpensive deck core to buy, and yet it just recently won someone their event. You have yours? Comment down below. Listen, Dimensional Barrier is one of the best cards in the game right now. So much so, the player that won this previous YCS thought he should main 3, and he did, and won the event because of it. Opening One Dimensional Barrier, it's a really broken card, and the card right now, original print, first edition, is going to run you roughly around $16. Sounds like a lot of money? Okay, no big deal. The card recently got a reprint as a common instruction like Al Strike. It's $14. It's basically accessible everywhere to every Yu-Gi-Oh player. Do you main it? Do you not main it? Well, the Striker player felt like he needed to main it, and he wound up winning Yu-Gi-Oh! YCS Hartford because of it. Sky Striker is a deck I've been saying for a long time is really good. I mean, you go back and watch my videos. I've been talking about this really good. Even though I don't play Strikers actively, I do own the deck. I like the deck a lot. I respect the deck. And I felt like a lot of players walking into this YCS did not. One thing about Strikers that makes them so good and so unique is the fact that Sky Strikers can simply just beat, well, the best deck in the game, as far as I consider it to be, which is Branded. Branded easily is the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Period. But Sky Strikers is made, almost designed to beat Branded. They control the board better. They respond better to Branded stuff resolving. And of course, the recursion means they're not going anywhere anytime soon. What makes Strikers so well is their engine is not as big, so you can play cards like D-Barrier in main, which was done. You can play Trap Trick, which was done. You can play all these kind of cards, which also hurt Branded infinitely. So I think Strikers was the best call. In fact, in the finals, if you asked me right before the finals started, who do I think I'm going to put my money on to win, if I was a betting man, it would have been Strikers, and of course it was. Not that Brandon plays a good player or a bad player. Obviously, he's a good player, but Strikers really are really good against Branded, especially when you add 3 Mystic Mine. You see how that works? It's not fair, it's not fun, but it's the current game state we have. But I just want to say before I say any other words, I enjoy this game state. I enjoy the Yu-Gi-Oh! Period. I really like it a lot. We have one bad apple, and that's not even, you know what's bad? When we're talking after YCS about Mystic Mine and now Artifact Psi. That's how you know we're in a really bad situation. When Artifact Psi, a card that literally says no cards can be used in an extra deck, that's easily splashable for most decks, well, that's a side note compared to Mystic Mine. Kind of crazy when you really think about it, but it is. It's the current game we're in right now. I know you might say, V, what about, Predator for Anaconda is gone? Yu-Gi-Oh! Players can easily still size lock you. Easily. It's not that hard. Going over here to Mazeline, obviously being another card used. It recently came out as a reprint in OTS 1 Pack 14, and it's $8 as a reprint. For anyone who doesn't know what this card does, simple. Not too hard of an effect. When your opponent's special summons a monster, activate one field spell directly from your deck. Wow, I wonder which field spell you can search out. It could be anything. You put a monster on board and I have none? Cool, demise of the land, Mystic Mine, now you can't do anything. This can't be Ash, by the way. A little fun fact. Alright, next, guys, obviously Despias. Just because Despias didn't win this event, they came second. And yes, the most represented deck in the room is Despia. And obviously with a little bit of RNG, ideally with Despias, the better player will win. If we both draw decent hands, the better player is going to win this match hands down. That's it, period. And I feel like a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players felt like they were skilled enough with Despias to go ahead and take it to this event at YCS Hartford. And that's what they did. It was more than likely the most represented deck in the room. And I'll say right now, Despias have a really good matchup against Sword Souls. I think Sword Souls have a good matchup against a majority of decks in the meta. But Despias smoked Sword Souls. We also saw in the YCS stream. Despia walked in there and absolutely destroyed Sword Souls. But Sword Souls have a great matchup against a lot of other decks. In fact, Despias are so good, you can splash them. You have Elec Despias, Predator Plant Despias, and of course, Pure Despias. Moving forward, we might start seeing more Adventure Despias, and the reason I'm going to say that is because Adventure Engine itself is really good against, ready for it? Mystic Mine. I think Pure Despias is better, But if we're talking in a meta in which Mystic Mine exists, Yu-Gi-Oh players are going to start gravitating towards that. So we might see adventures going against against not just pure Despias, but decks that run Mystic Mine, because you can stop Mystic Mine with the adventure engine. So we might start seeing that happen. Don't be shocked if that does happen. Then we have Flunderies. Now, Flunderies didn't do as good this event, but they've been doing good in a lot of events, and I've taken notice. I'm not a big fan of this deck, although I'm going to be buying and building it and probably playing on stream. Twitch.tv/YGOPaisano. Come over through, watch a real Yu-Gi-Oh player play, destroy, and savage. But looking at Flunderies, you have to respect this deck. And I feel like a lot of players that play this deck lose to it because they don't respect it. Once you understand what your opponent is playing, you have a better chance of winning. In fact, I might do a thing where I'll go over, and I might have a video coming up about that, going over body language and how important body language is to read. I feel like a lot of you players don't really acknowledge body language, but body language tells a whole story. What's so important about body language is a lot of you players might be rusty with it because we've been basically locked home for about 2 years minimal, for some longer, by the way, like myself, who can't go to YCS events because I'm not taking that dumb vaccine. So I'm locked away until that vaccine thing is lifted, as well as a majority of Yu-Gi-Oh players, by the way. Don't not get it twisted. But looking over here, I think it's important to acknowledge things like body language, things like respecting your opponent's decks. Recently at this YCS, we saw a player outright get smoked because he didn't know his opponent was playing. He played cards at the wrong time and lost with it, despite the fact that he was playing one of the best decks in the room. That, of course, happens. It makes sense. If you don't respect my deck, you easily lose to it. If I know what your deck is playing and you need to read my cards, my chances of winning are astronomically higher. It's not even fair. I always tell every Yu-Gi-Oh player, if you want to be competitive, you better learn not your deck, but every other deck as well, as much as easily as you learn your deck. Looking over here at Sword Souls, once again, I'm not acknowledging the fact that Sword Souls is like a bad deck. No. This is a tier 1 deck. In fact, I might do a deck tier list talking about in the future, but this is a tier 1 deck and has to respect it as a tier 1 deck. This deck's insane. Looking at this previous YCS, we see so many Sword Soul players just go off. The deck is gorgeous. The problem with Sword Souls is, if you're playing against Despia, you're fighting an uphill battle. Can you win? Sometimes. Not all the times. We also have Drytrons, which came, I believe, 3rd or /4th place, depending on look at it, at this YCS. What's crazy about Drytrons is, it does the same simple play, but it does it in a way that obviously makes it harder for your opponent to stop them. If you can't beat Drytrons turn 1, they just reset game state turn 2, with more ammo in their graveyard in the form of Drytron monsters that they easily can proc within the graveyard. That's a problem for a lot of players. Now, obviously, Drytrons at this event, by the way, that so happened to make top, they also main Mystic Mine. That also is helpful. They also have Mazeline Fiend, which is a card a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players don't have an answer for, and they're a relatively good deck. And I think a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players kind of know that. So, listen, I think Drytrons is a great deck. Obviously, as a deck choice, it's still a great deck moving forward. You just have to acknowledge the fact that certain matches you might not win, certain matches you just win easily because of cards like Mazeline Fiend. It's a good deck, though. I like the deck a lot. Then we have Ignisters. Very cheap deck, very inexpensive deck, a budget deck besides Access Code Talker. If you have Access Code Talker, this literally is the most budget deck in the game that you can run right now. And what happened? Well, my buddy recently won a regionals up in Minnesota. The guy took the same, someone took the same exact deck list and went top 32 at this YCS event. Simple. Ignisters are a very easy deck. They do a lot of things very simply. But if you don't stop them, they'll have a 5,000 monster on board, arrival at Ignister, this guy up here, and he'll walk right through you. It's that easy. Listen, everybody, I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, comment down below. I want to say one thing real quickly. My shop is going to be open soon. I'm uploading a bunch of new products to this site. I'm going to be doing a pre-sale. Now, currently, Shopify is going over my payment information, so I'm waiting for them to verify it. So, stay tuned for my pre-sale. I might have to only be able to accept Cash App. Hopefully, I could do it through Shopify. That'd be easier. Once again, I'm still waiting for them to hit me back up. They need anything from me, like my ID or whatever. But if it comes down to Cash App, I'll make a mention of that as well. I'm going to be making this known to everybody in order. So here's how the order works. People are going to know about this website being available for pre-sale on Discord first. Then I'll go live on twitch.tv, YGO_Paisano. Then I'm going to make a mention in my Instagram. And then I'll probably make a video or upload a video to YouTube talking about the shop going live for pre-sale. That will happen this week, the pre-sale, okay? We're going to have a pre-sale for these. And what's going to happen with the pre-sale? Simple. You're going to be able to lock in these cards, lock in these field centers, lock in these tokens, whatever you want to lock in before the site fully goes live. Once that's done, I'll be able to print your tracking information up, and I'll have your stuff rolled out for you. So when the stuff does come in, all I have to do is ship everything out, and it's gone, and your tracking will go live at that time. So keep an eye out for that. Once again, like I said, make sure to keep an eye out whenever on any of my social media platforms when I talk about this stuff going live. This will be going live for pre-sale. It will be made available for you so you can get it in earlier. Earlier the faster the better. And of course I can order more product faster. And if I order more stuff faster, I could do it again and again and again. Every time I do it at a faster pace. So that's my goal. We're not getting as many tokens. I think we're getting altogether like 70 tokens altogether, which isn't a lot. The next shipment's going to have more. But if you want to lock in your adventure tokens, I recommend you do it quickly. If you want to lock in your Nibiru tokens, if you want to lock in your field centers, do this quickly. These will sell out. Just like they did last time they sold out in an hour, less than an hour. This time, I expect these to sell out more than likely, if not all, a majority during the pre-sale. So please be careful. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching my videos. Thank you so much. Your boy V and YGOPaisanos. Well, you guys all have a great day.